What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of the Inside Post. We have our weekly Kentucky Derby top 10. So we had the Jeff Ruby Stakes and the Louisiana Derby this past weekend. So the top of the leaderboard is going to look a little bit different than what's on the screen. We have Tistastic and Final Gambit pretty much locking themselves into the Kentucky Derby with two really big wins for the past weekend's Derby preps. So we're going to go through, give you our top 10 currently horses for the Kentucky Derby, and we'll see if there's a shakeup at the top from our previous video. Make sure to go subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave a comment down below your top pick for the Kentucky Derby as they line up currently. Number 9, we have Disruptor. Yes, a very lightly raced horse in here for Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli, breaking its maiden at Gulfstream Park. Looked really good. Breaking its maiden for sure. Kind of breaking in the top 10 for us, as this horse has now been entered into the Florida Derby. Going to be very interesting of what this horse is going to be able to do coming in here against some pretty good horses that have had some past experience. We have Matticat Road, Neoquist, and Sovereignty. But this one's getting a lot of buzz for the Florida Derby, March 29th currently. And if it makes it there, we'll see this horse possibility in the Kentucky Derby. So definitely looks really good. Going to get Irad Ortiz aboard coming into the Florida Derby. So this is pretty much Todd Pletcher's maybe last shot at that he can get one in here. Because he's kind of struggled on the road to the Kentucky Derby for sure. But I believe this is where all of his eggs are going to go. This is his definitely key horse for the Derby. Number 9, Beza. Very interesting. Another one that's lightly raced. This one's going to be pointed to the Santa Anita Derby. Breaking its maiden, Santa Anita back on February 14th. Looked really good and strong in there for John Sheriff. This one is definitely going to have to show its worth, though. Comes in against Journalism, Citizens Bull, Barnes, and Bullard. All very, very top horses. Love the pedigree, though, with the McKenzie horse. So we'll see what's able to come out of that. But I think Beza is definitely one that could be really good to set a really great trip in this Santa Anita Derby. There's going to be a lot of speed for sure. And this horse looks pretty good coming in off of that maiden special weight. Definitely going to have to run against some horses that have graded stakes company. So this one is one of the fresher horses coming in into the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. Number 8, Final Gambit. If you watch horse racing over the weekend, you know this is the Jeff Ruby Stakes winner for Brad Cox. Has been at Turfway for 2 or 3 other starts, and then also raced on turf in its very first start. So we'll see if that turf style or the synthetic can transfer over to the big Kentucky Derby. Gotta love the big gray on this horse for sure. Luis Machado set a perfect trip to get this horse to close into a really good pace in the Jeff Ruby. So we'll see if we have that type of running style for this one in the Kentucky Derby. Probably going to be a big price for sure. But I think if you look at the current leaderboard, if they've updated it as of Monday, this one, I believe, is sitting behind Tistastic at number 2 on the board. Definitely going to be an interesting runner, as we've seen what some of the Turfway Park shippers have been able to do coming into the Kentucky Derby. Number 7, Cornucopian. This could be Bob Baffert's selection in here to maybe pick up another Kentucky Derby win. Another horse that's getting a lot of buzz in social media and on the horse racing pages. Broke its maiden at Oaklawn Park, and obviously people started talking that this horse is going to go to the Arkansas Derby, and rightfully so. That's where we see this one entered, not Barnes, not Citizens Bull, but definitely one to watch out for. I don't think they have the odds set yet for the Arkansas Derby, but this one's probably going to be up there as one of the top picks. Let's see, 3-1. Nope, 7-5 is what we're getting. So currently, morning line favorite considering on this very lightly raised, unexperienced horse in Cornucopian. We'll have to go against some other horses that are pretty decent. Speed King, Sandman, and Coal Battle, all looking for Kentucky Derby points to try to make the gate The speed figures look really good on this one as well. Again, another one that comes off of a race February 23rd, breaking its maiden down in Oakland Park. So it stayed there to train for the Arkansas Derby. As, like I said, Barnes, some of the other ones did not ship in for, or shipped out, so to speak, for Bob Baffert. So we'll see what this young one is able to do. Like I said, probably one of the ones that are getting a lot of more buzz now outside of Citizens Bull or even Barnes for the Bob Baffert barn. Again, another one, sire by Into Mischief, so has all the pedigree stamina that we want for the Kentucky Derby. So we'll see if experience or inexperience is going to be the downfall of this horse. 6, we're placing Barnes just ahead of him. Right now, he does have 2 wins. He does have a stakes win. He did finish second in the San Felipe, which is not on the board. So we're maybe seeing Barnes kind of trickle down. And we haven't seen Barnes in some time on the workout tab. So I don't know what the plans are for him. Right now, he's entered into the Santa Anita Derby. He will have to run against Citizens Bull. He will have to run against Journalism and Beza, who also cracked our top 10. So definitely going to be one that's kind of got a question mark hanging over his head right now, but it's not typical for some of the Baffert trainees to kind of go dark before some big races and then kind of come back and put in some pretty good workouts. So look for this one, like I said, in the Santa Anita Derby. Going to go against Barnmate in Citizens Bull. We'll have to beat a really good Journalism and the young one in Beza. Number 5. Cue the Metallica music. We have Enter Sandman at number 5. Comes out of the 3rd place in the Rebel, 2nd in the Southwest, 3rd in the Street Sense, and 5th in the Iroquois. So one that's just kind of been all over the place. The horse has a ton of potential. Definitely ran into a really good horse in that Rebel Stakes. And I think it's going to be in a tough spot, or maybe it's a better spot in the Arkansas Derby, but it's definitely going to have to run out Coal Battle and Cornucopian, who look really good coming into this race. I think those 3 horses look phenomenal in the Arkansas Derby as well. I just want to see Sandman run one of his best races that he's ran so far. Another big gray horse that I would love to see get into the Kentucky Derby gate. I think it would be amazing to have a couple gray horses in there that people are just going to pour money into because that's what bettors do on these grays. They love betting them. So we'll see if he's sitting on his best race yet. He 3rd in the Rebel. He kind of figured out how to get out of the gate straight rather than sideways. So we'll see if he's sitting on yet another big race. And if he's just going to, pick up 2nds and 3rds, definitely a horse to use in your Kentucky Derby wagering. Hopefully this one can make the Derby gate. All right, we're inside our top 4. And it's another Arkansas Derby horse in Coal Battle. So far, undefeated. Coal Battle comes out of that Rebel Stakes and the Smarty Jones. 2 big wins in the past 2 races for Coal Battle. Looks phenomenal in here for Lonnie Briley. And is kind of doing it as like that underdog story, if you would. So again, this one goes to the Arkansas Derby. Looks to kind of battle out the Bafferts and the Sandmans. And Speed King, another really good horse for Ron Maquette. We'll see if he kind of can hold true, stay to his winning ways. I mean, even if a 2nd place finish, this horse is going to make the Derby gate. But it looks phenomenal. And again, you have to love the story, love the way this horse has been grinding out and running hard in his last 4 races. I think we're going to see another grinding effort that this horse puts in the Arkansas Derby. This horse could easily run up there with Cornucopian or just blow Cornucopian away. Could easily go up and, hold off a late charging Sandman as well. Number 3, Citizens Bull. Kind of been a while since we've seen the Bull run. Does come out of that Robert Lewis. Kind of basically just a little warm up, if you would, for the Santa Anita Derby. I think depending on what the Santa Anita Derby does for this horse, will be the decider for Bob Baffert if he's going to send him to the Kentucky Derby or if he's going to hold him back for possibly the Preakness. I think right now the horse is definitely into the gate unless something crazy happens with the Santa Anita Derby if Barnes wins it, and then just what happens with Cornucopian in the Arkansas Derby. Obviously, this horse The American Pharoah, the Breeders' Juvenile, has done everything right so far. The Santa Anita Derby will be the check mark if this horse is legit. If the horse easily wins in the Santa Anita Derby, this horse possibly a very good chance to be the morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby. However, he is going to run against another horse that's really good in journalism. He's going to run against the barnmate in Barnes, and then he's got that fresh horse that just cracked our top 10 in Beza. So definitely going to run against some really good class of horses, and we're going to see if Citizens Bull is the legit top 3-year-old currently. So number 2. Yes, journalism. The horse, the San Felipe winner, the Los Al Futurity winner, breaking his maiden at Del Mar, and the one that's kind of only one that's been able to beat the Baffords right now. Did beat out Barnes in that San Felipe, but we'll have to go against Barnes and Citizens Bull, so going to get that 1-2 tandem of the Baffords when he goes into that Santa Anita Derby. This one looks really good as well. By Curlin, real strong looking horse, just phenomenal what that horse is able to do in the San Felipe, coming off a pretty good layoff. Mike McCarthy has this one ramped up, ready to go. I think we see a big showing in the Santa Anita. I feel like that Derby prep is going to be absolutely phenomenal. There's just like I said, 5 West Coast horses that are all dominating the West Coast circuit right now, outside of Beza, just because he hasn't made a stake start. But any of those horses probably could have came east and probably won one of them littler Derby preps. They all look really good. I think journalism looks the best. That's why he's sitting number 2, just ahead of Citizens Bull. I think he has a lot of things going for him, and he, like I said, I think he runs really big in the Santa Anita Derby. So that leaves it to number 1. If you haven't seen it, you probably guessed it by now. It is Sovereignty, the Go Dolphin Blue horse. Really looks good out of Into Mischief, another one out of Into Mischief, by Into Mischief. We have Wilmot Jr. Alvarado teaming up yet again on a phenomenal racehorse. This one was incredible in the Fountain of Youth. Not getting a whole lot of respect in that Fountain of Youth, just because the horse was coming off a layoff, first in the street sense, and then basically was just like out there for a jog, almost like a practice run for Sovereignty in that Fountain of Youth. We even talked about it. We didn't expect much from Sovereignty. Second or third was rightfully so. But if that horse was barely cranked and he blows him away, just wait till he's in the Florida Derby and he's cranked up and ready to run. He's right now 8-5 on the morning line, rightfully so. I think the horse comes in. The Disruptor horse is the one to his inside that he's definitely going to have to, figure out, especially because it's a young, fresh horse. But man, the way this horse won that Fountain of Youth out of that street sense race just looked phenomenal, coming off of a really good layoff. So, Sovereignty makes our number 1 poll yet again. Not much shaken in that top 3. Sovereignty, Journalism, and Citizens Bull all hanging close into there in our top 3. So we'll see what happens after this weekend and April 5th when the Santa Anita Derby runs, plus the Wood Memorial. We'll see if the top 10 gets a little bit different, gets a little bit shakier, and who we really hone in on as our top 1, top 2 Kentucky Derby horses. So we thank you for watching. Make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe, leave us a like, and leave a comment of your number 1 Kentucky Derby pick as they stand for the leaderboard right now. Thanks for watching, everyone.